episode I did not expect to do so quickly. We're back here on Twitch, YouTube. If you're not watching live, follow it everywhere at Download83 as Paul puts his phone down with signature to switch the camera, making the show not look at me. But we have some things to talk about. Some NWHL news. Minor NWHL news. Well, I guess one of them is kind of a big deal. And some NHL news. The first thing being that as they move to Phase 2, 26 players have tested positive for COVID-19. That's great. The first thing, Kelly mentioned it off air to me just talking, and it was kind of, Kelly, what you said last week or last episode, where you were saying, are these athletes really going to stay home and listen to it and listen to the advice, or go out and do things? And as we're seeing that they're doing the latter, and they're getting sick quicker, Kelly.
Well, we don't know that for sure, but you've got young guys who have been at home for months now. And the bars opened in lots of areas, so not surprising.
I've been home for a long time, going to work when I can. I just a general rule, but especially because, as you said last time, Kel, these are athletes that have a job, and the job is to stay healthy for the hockey season if they agreed to it, blah, 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 all that stuff. But as a general rule, I've been at home, you've been at home, everybody's been at home. Well, everybody who isn't a complete imbecile who doesn't want to get anybody sick or vice versa has stayed home, and if they've gone out, they've taken the proper precautions. I don't understand, as a general rule, and for these guys who are making a ton of money, why, if that's what's happening, that's so hard to follow. In general, I don't get it. You got Paul, who goes to work every day and has to be extra cautious because he literally works around people all the time in a medical capacity, has to wear a mask. The general entitlement of this whole thing is just baffling me to this day. 26 players? 26? Now, Kelly, you said, in the grand scheme, they'll probably be okay. They're younger. They're in great shape. They probably won't feel the effects of this, even the long-term effects of this, because they're in great shape. But still, it's happening. It happens so fast, just like that. 26 players. Paul, anybody?
Oh, well, if we didn't test them, we wouldn't have so many positive cases, right?
Oh, stop it.
Well, and I think testing at this point is still a volunteer. I don't even know if they're actually testing. I think they did in the case of Tampa, but I don't think they're actually I think it's a questionnaire, and it's kind of the honor system at this point. Now, as I understand it, that's not the system when we get much closer to these hub cities where they're actually going to be doing some sort of testing. But yeah, so 26 that, they actually did a test and got a positive result. Who knows how many are actually positive in some way, or, whatever.
Like we were saying, they're young guys. They think they're invincible. They're gonna just not do the right thing in all cases, and this is our proof.
I want to shout out real quick. Shauna is here, and Scott Lippincott Music, who, he's in the band. I can't say much more, but he's in the band Drop Dead Sexy. My boy Dean, who everybody knows, founded this, what was HIC Talk Radio Network, are all listening right now. So thank you very much. I'm glad you stopped by today. But more on what you guys were saying. That's a problem. If it's voluntary, I don't understand why we can't commit to going past the voluntary thing. Everybody talks about this fake controlling our freedoms stuff. There is a pandemic that is either blown up or not real, or is bigger than they're saying, and people are deciding not to get tested. What's this deciding crap? Just do it, or don't come. Why is that so difficult? Somebody tell me I'm crazy.
You're crazy.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Paul, am I talking out of turn here?
It didn't take this for us to realize you were crazy, Dan.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
Well, that's not what I said, but
I know, not your point at all. Oh, I'm just kidding.
I'm not.
Well, you know him better than I do, Kelly. I don't know. It just boggles my mind. I can't wrap my head around the fact that there are differing viewpoints on how to take care of yourself and how to take care of other people.
there isn't. There are people
there
that
are.
think they know better.
Yeah, well, they believe the opposite of reality.
So 26 cases is not stopping the NHL. Where do you sit as a... All right, here we go. Kelly, where do you sit? I know you're not thrilled with the NHL at all anyway, but being that it's the only hockey, and being that you used to be an Uber fan before, years gone by, hypothetical. You want to watch hockey. You're a huge fan. You want to watch the NHL come back. Where do you draw the line where 26 people are getting sick in a coop? Where's the line where you're like, I'm not supporting this?
Well, I'm not supporting it anyways. So the line for me is pass. I just think it's pointless. It's not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk to anyone. It's not worth the risk for the players who have, we've been saying, these are elite athletes for the most part, very young athletes. But we don't know the long-term consequences of this stuff. We don't know if those 26 people who do have it will recover. Hopefully they will, and they'll have no ill effects. But down the line, what does that mean for them? There's been talks about damage to the lungs. That's kind of important for a hockey player, for a professional hockey player. And we don't know. So I just don't think it's worth it for a game at this point. I know this has huge impacts on the financial realities of the NHL as a sports league, and functioning in the future. There are US TV contracts coming up, which is why I think there's been this huge push to try some way to get playoffs and the cup awarded, and to have something on TV so that they can remain a player in the US sports TV landscape, which is a struggle for them. They are very much the tiny baby brother of US sports. But for me, it's already passed. What I've heard from a lot of people who really want this to happen, and I understand people who want to be able to watch hockey and root for their teams and just have a distraction for a couple weeks, 2 months, whatever this winds up taking, if it happens, is, they're not in lockdown yet. This is still, they're going to practice facilities. They're still at home. When they get to the bubble, this will not happen. And if it does, it will be shut down. But we've actually heard no details of what does happen if there are positive cases within the bubble. And I think those are important questions. I hope those are the questions that the Players Association and the union are asking about, what does happen if something happens at one of these hotels where you've got, early on, 8 teams are at the same hotel?
Yeah.
And that's a huge amount of people to get together from two different countries. Well, actually even more, 2 different countries that there are teams in, but you've got players from all over the world coming back to take part in this. They've been in Europe, they've been all over the world. Who knows if they did get a chance to travel somewhere and wound up locked down, in the Caribbean or whatever. It's just, I don't know. It's not gonna stop until they have to. I just wonder what that line is for them at this point. Is it someone really truly getting sick? Is it nearly losing a player before they're like, yeah, we should stop this? And I just think that's ridiculous. I hope it's not that, but it seems like that is going to be the line that they're not going to cross.
Paul.
Remember when one person got sick in the NBA and we shut everything down?
Right.
He actually didn't even get sick. He tested positive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now 26. Okay. Yeah, this is Kelly. You're right, 100% on the money. This is a purely financial decision. You can't spin it any other way. And also, like you were saying, we don't know what the long-term effects are of this. Yeah, these guys are even the positive guys are not gonna get sick. They're young men in excellent physical condition. They're gonna be fine. But how does it branch out? How about their families? How about guys who have children, small children? How about guys who have elderly relatives, or relatives who are compromised, or friends? I mean, how do these 26 cases affect hundreds, maybe thousands of people? We don't know. And I just before we went on the air, I was reading something about the virus. And you think of other viruses that you don't get rid of, you don't recover from, you keep them. Things like the chicken pox. You keep the chicken pox for the rest of your life. You get shingles, or a lot of people get shingles. Herpes. You carry herpes for the rest of your life. Right? You get cold sores. I'm not talking about the other herpes.
Yeah. We
we
got
don't
it.
know. Yeah, we don't know how this is going to look on these people who have contracted it for the rest of their lives. Okay, you're fine this time. What happens 5 years down the road, 10 years, 20 years? What happens when you hit 60 or 70? We don't know. The costs of this are they're not going to go away. And like Kelly said, for a game, is it worth it? We're not looking big picture here. Hockey, as much as I hate to say it, hockey is not essential. Sports are not essential.
Sports
right
are
now.
not essential. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Sports are not essential. Yeah. Period. No matter how you slice it, man.
As I truck off to a couple baseball games later.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Speaking of which, how them baseball games? Wrong podcast.
Hey, but you know what? That's it's going to be social distance. Baseball, you can play socially distant. How often do baseball players run into each other?
Well,
You get one hockey player on the ice who's positive. You're going to have 40 hockey players on the ice who are positive. I mean, I could play a whole game. I could play baseball for a week and not bump into anybody. But hockey, you can't play 40 seconds without bumping into somebody.
but how viable is the full face mask thing?
Is that one of the plans that they have? One of the precautions?
It better be.
Yeah.
I saw it was in the discussion. How the F do you play this game where you're that close to somebody and to all these people and not do the full face mask thing?
Right.
How does that? How do you let that go?
I don't know. We've said this on the show. I think all three of us have said this on the show that there are just too many. And this is coming from a hockey fanatic. There's too many moving parts to make this viable, and they're going to leave the rink and be housed together. And
it's just the more I think of it, the more happier I was about it, and then the more I think about it, the more I'm not as excited as I was before. I'm just not.
Well, yeah, and I think my biggest problem with this is, okay, the players have decided, or they will decide, that they want to participate, and the coaches, and then whatever the training, coaching staff for the team, I'm guessing everybody will have the chance to opt out. But what about the people who work at the hotel? What about the people who have to prepare the food, who have to, however all of that's going to be. It's not just the hockey teams that are affected by this, and the people who have to work at the hotel. You know, they're not making whatever the league minimum is a year.
Right.
They're
Maybe more risky for less money. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing way more risk, because if someone's doing something like delivering food, they're going to go to each of the rooms and drop off food. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, that for me is just, that's the end right there. It's not just the players.
Oh boy. Well, as we go from that to this, the NHL Draft Lottery, which, minus conspiracy theories, because there are none. The more you look into it, I'm like, oh, that's not how that's working. I appreciate the NHL's ability to take something so simple and bungle it up like they always do. The NHL's MO, I can't figure it out. It's like, Kelly, it's like it's like War Games. Okay? We're all getting to this. Let me, for those who don't know what War Games is, I'm going to explain it. And I'm going to explain it the way it is, and you're going to be confused. And that's the idea. War Games is a cage match in wrestling. Yes, we know wrestling stage, blah, 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 blah. Let's get past that shocking announcement and move to the stipulations of this match. War Games is a match that takes place in 2 rings inside of a steel cage. It is 2 teams of 4. The match starts. Are you with me, Paul, so far? 2 teams of 4.
Okay. 2 teams of 4.
Okay.
Big steel cage.
Yeah, big, huge steel cage surrounding both rings. One person from each team starts the match. Right? After a 5-minute period, whoever won the coin toss backstage, Paul's still with me so far, that team member comes out. Right?
So then 2-on-1.
Right. For 2 minutes, and then after 2 minutes, the next period ends, the other team member, and it alternates until all of the team members are in the ring. Now that you've been fighting for 20, half hour, whatever. Now that you've been fighting for that long, now that everybody's in the ring, you can only win by pin or submission.
So you can't win until everybody's in the ring.
Right.
But there's 2 rings.
Right.
So which ring do they fight in?
Either one, it doesn't matter. There's no center to the cage. It's one big, huge cage over top of 2 rings put together. Right. Exactly. So I just hope we're complicated. And it's one of the best matches in wrestling, believe it or not. Everybody has fond memories of it. But when you think of it, like when Jenny and Kelly, when I explained working, they're like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, yeah, it does. I'm like, no, it doesn't make sense. Like, it makes perfect sense. Dusty Rhodes doesn't make mistakes. So that's War Games. So can somebody explain to me what the hell's going on with the NHL Draft Lottery? Because I don't know. So basically, the Buffalo got number 8, New Jersey got number 7, Anaheim got number 6. I forgot the other ones. I forgot the other ones because that's how much I care. Basically, they picked everything but number 1, and number 1 is going to go to the team that sucks the worst in the play-in rounds, thus taking it away from...
It's not even that. It's just now there'll be another lottery,
right,
when we know who has lost the play-in rounds, if the play-in rounds happen. Because if this doesn't happen, we're gonna have another 2005 where it's every team gets the shot at the top draft pick, and we all know how well that went because everybody loves Pittsburgh to this day.
Paul?
Sorry there. I don't know. People are up in arms about this, but if you look at the odds going into this lottery, that was the most likely thing to have happened, or the second most likely thing to have happened was that we don't know yet.
What?
So it's not. So if you look at the odds that everybody had for number 1 pick,
All right.
I think Detroit might have had the best shot at it because they were the worst team. Am I right?
Yes.
And they had roughly a 24% chance, 25% chance. The chance of one of the playoff teams getting it was just under that, was like 23%. And then it went down from there. So this wasn't a crazy conspiracy thing. This was mathematically one of the most likely things that could have happened.
Oh, sure. And I've been joking about it since, but at first I was like, those sons of bitches, they're going to do it
Penguins,
again.
Pittsburgh again.
And then everybody was like, no, idiot, math. I was like, oh, all right. Never mind, my bad. Sorry.
I think we all agree with the way 2020 has gone. Pittsburgh's getting the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Somehow they're going to lose the play-in, but still win. Because 2020. Because none of us can have anything nice except for Pittsburgh, apparently.
It better not. But anyway, Kelly, how do we feel about the draft? Is it, again, how can the NHL take something so simple and just make everything overly complicated to get to the same point? Literally the first thing I thought of was War Games.
Yeah, I don't understand why it just couldn't have waited until at least after the play-in round to then do the draft. It doesn't matter. Those 8 teams, 7 teams, they're not in the playoffs, so they're fine. they're not going anywhere. They're working on their draft picks and scouting more players. That's what they're doing. It wasn't causing them any huge concern to not be able to not know what number they were drafting at. It's kind of like at work. We have one department that never fails to complicate something. Even when you think something's completely straightforward and it should be easy and we can get this done by Friday, and then they come back with their proposal and you're just like, why do you do that?
That's my job at my work.
Oh, I see. I hate
to
you,
gum
Paul.
to gum up everything. Well, it's called advocating for the patients.
Oh.
No, you can't do that. That's against the law. No, you can't.
Damn advocators.
Go ahead, Paul.
I don't know. It's the NHL.
He was just straight up.
I can't.
I don't know.
It could have been easier. It wasn't.
Should be the new NHL slogan. The NHL. I don't know.
And we have our episode title.
Kelly, it was like last night. The sun is always up at Denny's.
It's always sunny at Denny's.
It's always sunny at Denny's. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you guys have to watch Patton Oswalt. Is that his latest stand-up special?
Yeah. So.
Watch Patton Oswalt's latest stand-up special and his pitch for Denny's commercials.
Oh, I thought that was just something you guys were saying as you were at Denny's.
No.
At a drunken 2:30 a.m.
No, he's drinking at it. I'm not going to give it away, but you got to see the bit. It's hilarious. From the NHL and uncertainty to not so much uncertainty with the NWHL. Paul, you said 76 players are signed to the league for next year?
I read that right before we went to air. Yes, Buffalo signed 3 players today, so that brings the league-wide total up to 76. So if you do a little bit of math, there's 6 teams, about 20, let's say 22 players on each team. Times 6, that's 132. So they're over halfway full.
Nice.
For their rosters.
Very good.
Great.
Very good.
And there's no draft lottery.
Yeah, there was a draft. Well, no, it wasn't a lottery.
There was a draft, but there was not a lottery.
Of course there wasn't a lottery because women run the
but
league.
Toronto traded the first pick away and to Boston. But since everybody pretty much drafts local guys, I don't understand the logic.
Local girls.
Local guys. I mean guys as in people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I say that too. People are like, can't say guys. I'm like, no, but I meant
people.
But
yeah.
I think that's
I was meaning it as gender neutral. I don't know.
Yeah.
What would the gender neutral term be?
Use guys. Hey, use guys.
If I said use guys.
Use guys.
But yeah, all the teams signed basically local players. So what was the point in trading up to get a local player who would have probably still been there when you picked anyway?
Well, I don't know that.
I don't either. I'm gonna have to talk to the GM over at the. I'll
Yeah.
talk to Carolyn.
Yeah,
Carolyn
don't you have a connection? You talk to somebody. Get that going. Get that
I
going.
did get a postcard from them a little while ago.
And now it's the part where I'm going to get angry letters from our buddy Dave from.
Grr, angry letters.
I'm going to get the DMs and he's going to yell at me. I know it.
You guys already went through this.
No, yes, we did, but I'm right. That's the Toronto Six. Showed everybody their jerseys, announced the jerseys, and God damn it! The only thing I'm complaining about is there's not those stripes on the sleeves of all the other two jerseys. Only on the third or the away. I think there's the home that's dark, the away that's light, and then there's an alternate, which I don't think a lot of teams have an alternate. Or are they all getting an alternate this year, Paul? You know, you work
Everybody. There. Well, I don't know about the alternates, but every team is getting a home and an away. I heard, which is new. Before everybody had a jersey.
A jersey. Now they're getting more. That's a good sign.
We got more teams. You run out of colors. You gotta,
Oh yeah, I know. We run out of who. We can't think of any color combinations.
You have two teams out there wearing red.
Go to Kelly. We'll go to the graphic designer last. I like the jerseys. I like it even more, and maybe that's because I don't live in the city of Toronto. In all seriousness, I love these jerseys. I love them even more that they're not blue and white.
But that's Toronto hockey colors, Dan.
Shut up! No!
They look like Ottawa jerseys.
Shut up! Stop it! Stop it! There's nothing wrong with those jerseys. Ottawa does not own the patent on that red and black and stupid-looking logo. See, the difference between the Ottawa Senators and the Toronto Six is the Toronto Six have a great-looking logo, and the Ottawa Senators have a stupid one.
And Ottawa's not the only black and red team in the NHL either.
Well, you tell them that. I'm not the one that said it. I like the jerseys. I like that all the NWHL jerseys have been fan-friggin-tastic, except I did think that they were fine, but the Buffalo Buttes grays were just meh. And I was very happy that they brought in a blue. I'm like, blue, that made it perfect. That made it better. My favorites have always been the Riveters so far, but this Toronto 6 set, 5 stars for me. Paul, are you mad that they're not blue and white? I'm gonna get yelled at so much. I know. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding about this and being angry at all, but I know I'm gonna get yelled at. Go ahead, Paul.
No, I like them. They're solid. I really like the alternate because it's not white. It's got a pattern, a very
that's true.
Subdued pattern. I don't even know what to call it. Kelly, you might know the word for it, but it was maple leaves, wasn't it? Like a maple leaf pattern underneath it, done very subtly in gold or something, or black. I don't remember.
No, it's gray.
Gray.
Yeah, it's kind of like shadowed.
I'm colorblind. You're asking the wrong guy about that. Yeah, it's like shadows. There you go. Looks like shadows on it. And when I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, I like that one."
Great jersey set, Kelly. You're the final consent. What do you think? Whatever I was just trying to say. What?
I really liked them. I like that they're different than the other teams in the league, which I think is really important for them, so that they stand out from the other teams. It's a little more. I think the logo is completely different than anyone else in the league, and yeah, we talked about the stripes on the sleeve, which I really like. I wish it was across all of the different variations, but yeah, I can't wait to see those on the ice. I think they look great. And like blue and white is only Toronto NHL recent history. Like, isn't that, they were the St. Pats.
They were the St. Pats, yes.
And it's Toronto. There's a million hockey teams in Toronto. It's just the Leafs that are blue and white, and they haven't done anything since '67. So who cares?
Yeah, and the Canadian flag isn't blue and white with a maple leaf on it. So yeah, who cares? It could be different colors. See.
Here's my other point about that. I believe that it was deliberate to not be associated with the Maple Leafs and the Marlies, or the Blue Jays. It's blue and white. Let's face it. I think it's deliberate. where the Pride have pretty much, not in a, not all the teams in Boston are gold and black, so it's not,
No.
you know what I mean? Like Toronto is, other than the Raptors, the Blue Jays, the Maple Leafs, blue and white, primary colors. You know how I feel about that. Looking at you, New Jersey,
I think there's only one team that all the teams are the same color anyway, right? One city, I mean.
Pittsburgh,
Right.
I believe.
I think so.
I,
And they stole
Yeah.
our colors.
Yeah, Uniwatch actually did an article about this recently, and there's a couple of cities where it's kind of close, but for the most part, it's a huge array
Like
of
3 out of 4,
colors
maybe.
for.
Huh.
Yeah.
was pleasantly surprised. I don't know what I expected when they were going to announce them, but I was very happy with it.
I do like the black jersey better than the red, but that's me. And I'm very curious to see now what all the teams come out with, if everyone's going to have a home and an away.
That's the other
and if they're going to have alternates.
That's the other thing. Okay, so now we have 5 more. So we have 6 teams in the league. We have 5 that we're waiting on. The combinations are going to be nice. I can't wait for that. Mostly because I don't know when the stinking season's going to start. I don't know.
I'm not going to be wasting my money on Bruins jerseys anymore. The hell with that. I'm getting have a closet full of Pride jerseys.
I just like the idea that the profits, most of the profits go to.
Well, I don't think it's more. I think it's 15%, I believe.
Yeah.
But it's nice. Nice to, if you get a player jersey of any NWHL player, they get 15% off the top. So if it's a $100 jersey, boom, $15 in the pocket of your player, your favorite player.
That sounds good to me.
So you know who I had to buy a jersey from?
No, who?
I had to get a Dena Lang jersey.
Oh, okay. Oh, she's still getting the profit then.
Yep.
Very good. Very good. Chat room says best jersey in the NWHL is that Toronto jersey. So, ha!